Gentlemen, we're going to get started, okay? Good afternoon. Again, my name is Heather Leslie, Community Outreach Specialist for this project. Thank you so much for participating in this afternoon's meeting to discuss the improvements on Northeast 125th Street. We have folks here at the Commission Chambers as well as participating online virtually. We will be starting with some of just the ground rules for the participation, as well as then introducing team members and the presentation itself. We would like to thank Commissioner Timothy from District 2 for her participation. Commissioner, thank you very much. And if you have anything that you would like to add prior to the meeting, if you could please type it in the chat and we can go ahead and unmute you. Okay. If throughout the meeting there's any technical difficulties, on screen is the contact for Jose Palacio. His phone number and email address are there listed as well. Please reach out to Jose. He can help troubleshoot you remotely to make sure that you're participating and that everything is as seamless as possible. Just a little bit of housekeeping for today's meeting. The attendees online will remain muted throughout the discussion in the meeting until we get to the open discussion, the question and answer session. We ask that you please raise your hand as well as submit your question in the chat box. We will be using that chat function to help go through the questions so that I get them and we can go through them in the order that we've received them. And we're asking all participants today to please have 3 minutes, limit yourself to 3 minutes for the question and answer session, just to ensure that everyone has a chance to have their say, and then we can kind of do a second loop as needed. A reminder that this meeting is being recorded. We have the formal presentation now. It will be followed by the questions and comments session. If you're calling via phone, you will not be able to provide comments during the meeting. However, please call the number on your screen or email Jose. He will be able to collect those comments and include them in the record and ensure that we can provide a response. Tonight's presentation has already also been loaded to the project page on the department's website. The long link is here. It will also be a QR code at the end of the presentation for your use as well. We wanted to welcome our team members and do introductions so that we can put faces to names as we have the discussion and as the project continues. For our North Miami-Dade resident engineer, Ivan Hay, and the assistant resident engineer, Drew Baudry. Those are our leaders in the North Dade construction area. John Garcia, who you will meet during the presentation, is our senior construction project manager. Carlos Rodriguez Pagan is our construction project administrator. He will also be joining us as part of the presentation. Ryan Raghunandan is here from our design team as one of the design project managers and engineers of record. Elsa Riverall is another design project manager. Michelle Rodriguez was one of the engineers of record, and Heather. And our contractor performing the work is Weekly Asphalt Paving. We'd also like to welcome Secretary Miller, who is joining us virtually as well. So this project is anticipated to begin on October 31st. When we first visited the community, the date was September 28th. It has been pushed back a month because we are making sure that the contractor has all the supplies and materials in hand before we start the clock. This project will improve safety and ease traffic congestion for pedestrians and motorists around the intersection of 125th Street and 6th Avenue. It also includes permanent changes in the traffic flow along sections of Northeast 7th Avenue, 6th Avenue, West Dixie Highway, and Northeast 124th Street. Here on the map, you can see kind of the area in question for our project limits. Again, it's Northeast 125th Street between 5th Avenue and 7th Avenue, West Dixie Highway from 119th to 128th Street, and 6th Avenue from 124th Street to 128th Street. The project schedule, again, is scheduled to begin in late October through late summer of 2023. The contract has an estimated project cost of $4.2 million. The project is fully funded. There is also a 20-day early completion bonus for the contractor. I'm going to introduce John Garcia, our construction project manager. He's going to start reviewing the existing conditions and then go through the project scope of work.
Thank you, Heather. So I'm going to present some of the proposed, some of the highlights for this project. And to do that, I want to go through some of the existing conditions, and you'll see there the image with the letters by it. So we'll start on section A, the 5-legged intersection at Northeast 125th Street and Northeast 6th Avenue. It has a southwestbound West Dixie Highway approach, which is on a skew. It also moves both southwest and northeastbound traffic through the intersection. And you'll note that the northbound Northeast 6th Avenue left turn onto westbound Northeast 125th Street is not an allowed movement. Next, I want to direct you to item B, where you see there's right turn only movements from westbound 128th Street and 127th Street onto northbound Northeast 6th Avenue. That's also going to change. We have two-way traffic along Northeast 7th Avenue, as you see there at section C. And you'll note the 5 Points Park bus stop only serves a northbound Northeast 6th Avenue there on item D. So some of the highlights that we're going to be improving and changing noted here. So we'll start with item A, and this is one of the major purposes of the project is to reroute traffic, southbound traffic along West Dixie Highway to 128th Street and 127th Street, with the target being that we can have a new signalized intersection of Northeast 128th Street and Northeast 6th Avenue, so that commuters can then turn left to go south onto Northeast 6th Avenue. And this is, as you see down on the bottom by B and C, they'll no longer have the southbound West Dixie Highway movement. So we're removing one of the timing movements with the signal, and that's going to be one of the traffic congestion improvements. We also relieve potential safety issues from having that skewed intersection. So those are some of the major benefits from this project. If you're looking at B and C, you'll see that we're constructing a new bus bay island. So we're going to have increased pedestrian and bus features there. We'll have a bus only lane for northbound Northeast 6th Avenue, and then a new northbound West Dixie Highway bus lane as well, and an expanded area around that park. Looking at item D, you'll see that we'll be converting Northeast 7th Avenue to a one-way southbound only street from 127th Street to 125th Street. Other improvements in this project, if you look at item A, we will be constructing an eastbound turn access from Northeast 125th Street to southbound West Dixie Highway. And along with that, to avoid any potential conflict points, we'll be constructing a directional concrete median on Northeast 125th Street and West Dixie Highway. We will also be adding a left turn arrow at the intersection of northbound Northeast 6th Avenue to westbound 125th Street, there currently is no left turn there now. And then in item D, we'll be changing Northeast 124th Street to two-way traffic between West Dixie and Northeast 6th Avenue. And then we are also doing some improvements south of 125th Street along West Dixie Highway. So some of the improvements are going to be a new mid-block crossing along West Dixie Highway, just south of Northeast 119th Terrace. We'll be doing pedestrian signal and ramp improvements all along those project limits at the various intersections. We'll be repaving the roadway and constructing signing and pavement marking improvements. And from here, I'm going to turn it over to the project administrator, Carlos.
Thank you, John. So I want to walk you real quick and show you some things that we might be expecting and how we're going to be mitigating during the construction process. So we should expect vehicular traffic impacts in permanent lane closures that will allow for the new changes to the traffic flow. There will be some lane closures in the area. Some parking lanes will be temporarily closed as needed to perform the work on Northeast 125th Street, West Dixie Highway, and Northeast 7th Avenue. For pedestrians, impacts will be mostly sidewalk closures and detours. There will, of course, be some dust and noise, and there will be some heavy equipment and construction crews in and around the area. For lane closures and details, information will be posted weekly on the department's website listed on screen. Travel lanes and sidewalks may be closed at times. For Northeast 125th Street, lane closures may take place between 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. weekdays and weekends, 9 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Sunday through Thursday nights, and 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Friday and Saturday nights. On the West Dixie Highway, lane closures may take place between 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. weekdays and weekends, and between 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. weeknights and weekends. Looking a little bit in detail on the lane closures and detours on West Dixie Highway between Northeast 125th Street and 127th Street. This detour will be closing all lanes along West Dixie Highway. Traffic will be redirected through Northeast 6th Avenue and turn on Northeast 127th to travel around the work. This will allow contractors to pave the roadway and construct the pedestrian ramps. This detour is anticipated to begin around spring 2023, and it should be short-term duration. Another lane closure will be on West Dixie Highway at Northeast 123rd Street. This closure will close the right turn lane from Northeast 123rd Street onto West Dixie Highway. Traffic will be redirected to travel around the Griffin Park to continue onto West Dixie Highway. Other lanes will remain open. This will allow the contractor to rebuild the right turn lane. The anticipated schedule is not yet determined, but it should also be short-term duration. Some of the mitigation efforts we'll be implementing: we will be opening permanent work zones as quickly as possible. We will coordinate with businesses to minimize impacts. There will be clearly signed roadway and pedestrian detours highlighting alternate routes, and we will do frequent watering and sweeping on the streets. Now to look at our outreach plan, let's go back to Heather.
Thank you, Carlos. I am serving as the community outreach specialist on the project. Myself and team members are available to meet with you at any time, whether we need to be meeting on-site at your business or property. We're also going to be sending throughout construction weekly email updates. They will provide a look ahead at the work and the anticipated closures that we're expecting as part of the project. The information will also be included on the construction site, on the department's website. On the website itself, you will be able to find project information, the lane closure information. There's also a function where you may submit any kind of questions or feedbacks, and that comes directly to the team members. So we really want to emphasize that this is a partnership that we want to build with the community throughout construction and maintain those open lines of communication. That is the formal part of the presentation. What we will do next is move into the question and answer session. We have our staff here compiled to answer those questions in the order that they're received. We ask that you please limit the questions to 3 minutes to make sure everyone has an opportunity to be heard. We're going to go ahead and start with the in-person attendees. So for folks here, if you have a question and would wish to or make a comment, we ask that you fill out the speaker card and that you can give it to one of my staff members. They'll bring it up, and then I'll call your name in the order that I receive them. And then at that point, we'll be able to ask questions and provide that response. Once we've discussed the questions and the comments with the folks here in the room, we'll move to our virtual attendees. We ask that you please submit any kind of comment or question that you might have in the question box that you see on screen. After addressing the question, I'll open the microphone, or actually my assistant will help me open the microphone. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand. If not, we'll read your question to the group to ensure everyone has the opportunity to hear it, and then we'll be able to provide that response. Thank you. My contact information is on screen. It's also included at the bottom of the fact sheets that you collected when you entered the meeting. It's also available as one of the download features for the materials that are posted online. The department's website is also listed here. This is again where you can find the project page itself. That QR code will also link you to the presentation for tonight's meeting. It's already been posted on the department site, so that's available to everyone as well, in case you want to refer back to this or link to the presentation for any interest, or if you represent a group. And with that, we're going to start with the Q&A session. So again, we're going to start with the folks in the room with the speaker cards in the order which I received them, and then we will move on to the participants online. So with that, I welcome first Ricardo Franco. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Ricardo. Okay, so we already had a conversation with Mr. Franco, so we're going to move on to the next person. Mr. Bernie.
Put the thing on.
I'll give you I don't know actually how to do that, but I'll give you,
Okay,
I'll do a countdown on my phone.
I'll give you the overview right now. No, not the 3 minutes, but I needed a picture. I could go over it.
Oh, at this point, let's get your question, and then if we need to take any kind of additional discussion, we'll get you,
Okay.
yeah.
So Dave Burney, North Miami Chamber 13100 West Dixie Highway, 131st and West Dixie. We're right in front of the North Miami High School. So when you turn off West Dixie to 131st and you come up to 8th, there's a stop sign that everybody blows through, and it's blocked by trees and people parking parallel on 8th. There's wrecks there all the time. People go the wrong way all the time there. So we have a plan to close. We have a plan now, right? You're nodding yes?
No, I'm taking notes.
To close 131st, right in front of the chamber. If you pull it up on the map later, after everybody's questions, I'd like to show you.
Okay.
Because it also behind closer to 135th, 132nd, which goes by the library, and then it's either 133rd or 134th. People are going to be cutting through there, hauling butt, then making a left on 8th, going in front of the high school where all the kids are out, and people are going to get run over. And there's going to be more car wrecks, so it has to be addressed.
Okay, so then what?
To cut through.
So then what we'll do, if it's okay, is once we get through the comments that we have in the room and online, we'll pull it up on screen, and with the meeting of the minds, we can come together with the engineers, because that is, I know that's north of our project limits, so that's certainly not going to be addressed as part of this project.
Well, it has to be. It's 1 block north of this project, and it's right in front of the high school where hundreds of kids are standing in the street every day that people are going to be blown through and cutting through. So I just want to show you.
No problem. Thank you, sir. The next comment from Mr. Howard Tompkins.
So I understand that this project's moving forward as it is, but I just want to read an email that I wrote. So thousands of the birds used to inhabit the intersection of West Dixie, 125th and 6th Avenue, and the surrounding trees were cut down and the birds were poisoned. I think that the bird colony should be restored to the intersection. I know. Hold on. Okay. So the thing is for our city to really happen, we really need the real infrastructure of like a signature bridge, which is what Dixie Highway should be. So our city will never prosper. Our downtown will always be a ghost town, will always flounder until Dixie Highway is eventually at some point reopened. It's a highway. I don't understand why it's a closed street. So it should be a signature bridge, which could really bring attention to our city and kind of be a landmark for our city. And 6th Avenue should be a tunnel. And then 125th Street should be a pedestrian-friendly street that passes through that. I understand this has nothing to do with this project, but my concern is that this just seems like a hodgepodge, a Band-Aid here, a Band-Aid there. And I live here, like I can't get from my neighborhood, Howard Tompkins 1260 Griffin Boulevard. I can't get from my neighborhood to my clients or friends' neighborhood on the other side of town. It's so difficult, and I don't understand why. When cities like South Miami and Coral Gables are implementing plans where all streets are all open, all directions, because that's how scientifically traffic flows best. And our downtown is just a cluster. It's so bad. And then you put the stanchions to block 5th Avenue on 125th. People are just all day long driving the wrong way down 125th Street to make the right turn into or the other way around. But they're just blasting through that. You know, our city is so dangerous. So many people get killed on 125th Street. And I just really feel when I work in Coral Springs or South Miami or Coral Gables or anywhere around South Florida, it seems like there's all this good infrastructure. Broward County has great infrastructure. And our city that has an incredible volume of traffic on our city is just kind of left to flounder with, you know, not to be rude, but it just seems like not a real solution for our city. A real solution for North Miami to happen has to be the traffic has to be alleviated. And I'm so concerned in the face of rising sea level and climate change that how much of this money is being spent on that issue, how much of this money is about better drainage, flooding, trees, you know, these issues, how to manage water better and so on. And we really, really desperately need a holistic plan for South Florida. If sea level rises 10 feet in 5 years, it's over. We don't have a plan. We need a holistic plan in place. So like what I'm saying is if they're going to do the extension of the highway down to Chrome Avenue, like Panther Parkway, which is probably going to happen anyway, you know, can we not have the Gratney connect to Dixie, connect to Sixth, connect to Golden Glades, and actually have, you know, like flow of the flow of traffic to sustain our city into the future in the face of climate change? We have to get at least the roads, right? So like, what's the plan when the 125th Street Causeway goes underwater in a couple of years? You know, we need a holistic plan and something ambitious with the money that's coming, the hundreds of billions of dollars from the federal government. You know, we need a real plan, and North Miami needs real infrastructure, not little band-aids of this street cut, that street cut, and we just can't get around our downtown. And I'm sorry to go on, I'm leaving, but our city is a ghost town because our roads really suck.
Thank you, Mr. Tonkin. The next card I have is Deborah Davies. Ms. Davies?
I'm still doing that.
No problem.
Okay. I live at 1165 Northeast 127th Street. I'm looking at this map. I came to your other meeting and I did address this. I don't know if you guys are aware that there's a down the street on 127 is a huge project that's being developed, the Gardens Residence, which is going to be 369 apartments with not enough parking for their property. So we're going to have cars coming out on 11th and 12th. And are going to be looking to avoid using 125th Street, of course. So I'm concerned about, and I don't quite understand, 127th Street, when this is done, forget about like, you know, your work thing. When this is done, is it going to be open in both directions on 127th between 6th and West Dixie Avenue?
I'm pulling up the map just to put better
My
frame.
other question is, if you're going to have a light at 128th Street, I mean, people are just going to be trying to cut through out. Once you have a light there, everybody's going to be trying to avoid 125th Street for all the different problems that different people have mentioned. And so everybody's going to be coming down 128th and 127th to get all the way down to 14th to, you know, to the railroad tracks. And I think the fact that they're building these huge projects without thought of any consequences, because there's going to be another huge development on 125th Street between 12th Avenue and 13th Avenue. There's going to be like an 8-story apartment building there too. So everybody, when they get to 128th Street here, they're all going to be trying to cut through our neighborhood. And you're making it easier by putting this traffic light there. So, I mean, is 128th only going to be one way between Dixie and 6th Avenue there? Is that correct? When it's done? Not
Okay, so let me just make sure that I got it. So first, there was a question on 7th Avenue, yes?
Well, no.
Okay, so 128th Street between West Dixie and 6th Avenue is going to be it's going to be one way,
Going west.
going westbound.
Going west. And what's 127th then? It's going to be two-way.
It will remain two-way.
Right, okay. I just want you to be aware that you're creating a problem where everybody's going to be cutting down our streets. So to avoid 125th Street here. So I don't see an answer. I'm also wondering, are you putting any kind of like bike lanes and, you know, some greenery? I mean, because, I mean, that needs to be done. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible area. Are you going to have safe bike lanes?
Sorry, I'm looking for support from the engineers. Yes. Yeah. So just, I'm sorry, real quick for the folks participating virtually, we're going to have our engineer of record, Ryan, come up and he'll be able to discuss, please.
Good evening. So to answer your first question, regarding, so we're okay with 127th, correct?
Having this light here on 128th Street is just going to create a whole even more people cutting through our neighborhood to avoid 120th Street.
So 128 is going to be needed because as you see, West Dixie Highway is going to be closed. So southbound, in order to access 6th Avenue and
Yeah.
125th Street, there's not going to be a way to do it. So it's needed that 128 is going to have to be the other street along with 127th in order to have access to get to 125th and 6th. So,
So you understand some problems you're creating by doing that.
so okay, so
I think we had this talk at the other meeting.
we did. You had mentioned, yes, there's issues. However, now we have issues with West Dixie Highway being open. We also had discussed the right turn movements that are going along and the amount of crashes that happen. So, you know, we can either keep it as it is today, and then what's going to happen, we're still going to have more crashes, or we can try to make improvements like 128 and 127.
You're not taking into consideration the neighborhood just to the east. That it's gonna impact us greatly.
So is this in reference to what we discussed last time, those big condos, the futuristic
It's not
condos?
big condos, it's one huge building.
So from
But it's also all, I mean, you know, these are all single family homes in here. And we don't have any speed bumps. We have asked for speed bumps on all these streets. People speed through. Northeast 12 is a state road. We've asked for speed bumps. We haven't gotten it. And this is just going to create a nightmare. These are single family homes that, you know, that have kids. I mean, people live there. And everybody's going to be avoiding, you know, 125th Street by just making it easier for people to cut through our neighborhood.
Absolutely, you know, in the neighborhoods you have speed limits. So and that might be an issue more for actually enforcing the speed limits, you know, because we can only do so much unless we close the roads.
Like Northeast 12th Avenue, over by WJ Bryan, where Northeast 12th Avenue and 127th Street, there have been so many accidents. People have almost gotten killed so many times. And we have asked the city for speed bumps or a circle, and they keep saying, no, that's you guys, the FDOT, and we can't do it. It's a state road. There's nothing we can do about it. So, I mean, it's just crazy to our neighborhood already, and I think this is just going to create.
I understand.
Maybe if you could help us, maybe if you could put on Northeast 12th Avenue, put a roundabout or put speed bumps or anything like that. It is a nightmare how many people have almost gotten killed there.
For sure. What we'll do is
go back to your.
Absolutely, I'll take notes for 12th Street, 12th Avenue, so that we can actually analyze it and consider a roundabout if possible. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person we have is Kevin Burns.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Burns. Several years ago, I attended many of these original workshops, probably 5 years ago, and a former member of what was called the NPO. A couple questions I have real quick. Northeast 7th Avenue is going to be converted and going one way. Currently, it goes north and south. Is it going to be a single lane, or is it going to be a double lane southbound from 127th to 125th Street? And when you get to 125th Street, will they be able to continue to go south on 7th Avenue by our police department, or will you have to make a left or a right at that particular intersection? And I reserve the rest of my time for.
No problem. Yes, please, so that we can keep track. So 7th Avenue in that area will be 2 lanes southbound, and yes, you will be able to continue south of 125th.
Okay. And will there still continue to be on-street parking on both sides of that road?
Yes, sir.
As it exists today?
So yeah, and to recap for our virtual participants, Northeast 7th Avenue will be 2 lanes going south between 127th and 125th. That southbound traffic will be able to continue south of 125th Street, and the existing on-street parking on Northeast 7th Avenue in that area is going to remain on both sides of the street.
Okay, very good. Just to the north of 125th Street, where it connects to West Dixie Highway, there's a little triangle there. People, when you're coming southbound on West Dixie Highway, you're allowed to make a left onto Northeast 7th Avenue from West Dixie Highway. It's a very small sliver. And in that particular street, it's not even a street, they allow pull-in parking, head-in parking, and people back out into 7th Avenue. It's a one-way, I mean, it's a single lane right through there. It's very narrow. I don't see anything being addressed at that little stepchild, I might say, of the roadway there. But it may be something, because when people make a left off of Dixie Highway onto Northeast 7th Avenue, they continue straight, no stop sign. Where when you're going westbound on 127th Street to Dixie Highway, there's a stop sign, and hopefully being one way now, it'll alleviate some of the problems there. But that seems like a problem waiting to happen, because so many more people will be turning left onto that 7th Avenue. When you have parking, I know of parking spaces where they back out into the flow of traffic that's frowned upon now, maybe something to take a quick look at, because that problem wasn't there when this plan was originally coming up with. The second issue I have, I represent the people on the old Miami Way Theater. It's now a medical center. We have 2 buildings there, and we just want to make sure that during the construction process that we're going to have access to our property from Dixie Highway, because our only other entrance is on 127th Street and 7th Avenue, and we will need to get our buses and so forth. We do have ongoing construction going on in that particular site, both on the 126th Street side and 127th Street. So we just want to make sure that we coordinate with you that our entrances, for the most part, since you're not doing drainage out there, I don't believe that we'll have access for our medical buses to get into that facility.
So just to give you a comment then, yes, so we will coordinate those access concerns, and we do want to maintain access to the property. There might be a moment, for instance, with the paving operation, that we might have to say, okay, can we work with you to, depending on the access that you have at the property, can we do this driveway while we leave that driveway open and then flip-flop? But those are definitely things that Carlos, John, and myself want to concentrate on during construction to ensure that you're still maintaining business, because we want to be, you have to, and we're good neighbors.
And then the last question is on the abandoned, 2 questions real quick. The abandoned, I want to say abandoned area, closed off area of the southbound portion on West Dixie Highway from 127th to 125th Street. At one time, they were talking about making a bus stop terminal on the southbound sign there. What is going to be happening in the old southbound lane that was there?
Okay, so the question is regarding the bus facility that'll be going in on West Dixie between 125th and 126th. So here on screen, using my little pointer, that is going to be the bus terminal as part of the park there. So there's going to be, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, a dedicated bus entrance, like a bus lane here on the northeast for southbound traffic on Northeast 6th Avenue, as well as the access here with a bus lane along West Dixie itself.
Will the buses be going northbound when they pull into that?
Yes.
Northbound? Okay.
For West Dixie traffic, yes.
So it's an exclusive bus only, so that it can stop without impacting the other northbound traffic.
Okay, and the fountain's going to stay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then one other question is there the lighting system that's going to go, the signal that's going to go in at 128th Street, is that going to go in toward the beginning of the project or midway through the project? Or, because you're going to be dumping everybody up to 6th Avenue, and I think that signalization will be one of the priorities, just whether it's going to be done toward the beginning of the project or toward the end. And then what's going to happen when people come to 127th Street, Northeast 6th Avenue, who want to go southbound? One street up, you have the light, which makes a lot of sense. What's going to happen when people are going to try and make a left turn from 27th Street? What's the conflict going to be there?
Okay, so lighting signal work, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to begin likely, because you said it's a priority, and it's also one of the items that requires a lot of lead time from the contractor side. So it's very likely that they will start that work early on in the project, but it would probably not be, they have to install, they have to go through inspections before everything can be illuminated and activated. So it will be probably an early lead item that they work on, but it will be something consistent that they they continue throughout the job until everything's fully functional. And then regarding 127th Street and access to southbound 6th Avenue, that will not have a light. It will be kind of
It's a stop control left turn.
a stop controlled left turn. So the folks on 127th Street will have a stop sign, and when there is an opening in traffic, they can make the left.
I mean, okay.
And then the other real quick question, you're gonna take 124th Street between Northeast 6th Avenue and West Dixie Highway. We're now gonna turn back into 2 lanes. Is this still going to be where if you're coming eastbound on 124th Street, you must make a right turn to head back down south as opposed to a left turn to head north? 124th Street.
Michelle, okay, you can unmute, or actually, Ryan.
It's good. We're gonna add a median.
No.
You can see in the picture, there's a median.
The yellow there.
Yes.
Okay, so that's gonna be, that's
Right over
right
here, some, yes, it's gonna be controlled and we'll have to make a right.
turn out.
So for folks participating virtually, what I'm circling on the screen and median there, that will.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, it's gonna stop the movement of going straight through 124th or heading north along 6th Avenue.
Okay, so the median.
Be able to move south.
Eastbound 124th will be a right turn only.
So, okay, and as part of our project, eastbound 124th Street will have to turn south onto Northeast 6th Avenue. Thank you guys for clarifying.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We also have Anne Marie.
That's online because I can't see all of that. Is that online?
It is currently online, and yes,
Thank you.
no problem. Anne Marie? Oh, did you want to say something? Or? Oh, we're good. Okay, so for the folks in the room, we're going to move on to the virtual participants for the.
Wait.
Yes, sir.
Can I do my thing showing the sheets?
Yes. Let me ask real quick. Do we have folks from? Okay, so right now, for everyone participating virtually, you still have the opportunity to use the chat function. I'm sorry, I didn't get your card. So if you have a Beverly, I may have some.
I have this one.
No problem. Beverly, yes, your question.
Yeah, I just want to question where this project started in October?
This project is starting in October. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have, right, we have Northwest or 135th Street working on it at the same time. So you'll have traffic that leaves avoiding 135th and taking 135th. So it's going to be really crazy on 135th. So they're working at the same time, 135th and 135th. So it's going to be a problem.
We can double check the schedule for the 135th Street project to determine how concurrent the projects are running.
Yeah, if it's the way it looks right now, I don't think it'll be finished by October. It's taking a long time.
They're actually scheduled till April 2023. That's how far behind we are. Actually, as of right now, it was the county sewer line that was running from the plant up here down 135th Street, but it was also an FDOT highway, so they're going to repave the whole thing and so forth. And it's down to major portions of it are down to still just one lane in each direction, and that's just been some of the headaches that
Right.
Okay, so what?
is happening.
Will be coordinated, so after they're finished, you start this.
I can't say that, but what I can say is at least we'll have a conversation with the project team members for the 135th Street project to see where we're at. Then we can also discuss our contractor schedule to see how we can accommodate potentially taking that into consideration as they develop their schedule as well. Okay, so what we'll do is, again, at any point, we're going to continue the meeting and move on to another follow-up question for participants virtually. If you have any questions, please use the chat function and we'll be able to have an opportunity for your questions as well. So what I'm going to do is, bear with me please, but I'm going to improvise and open my browser so that we can do some follow-up questions. Okay, Mr. Burns, what was the location?
13100 West Dixie Highway.
Sorry, my computer's, there we go.
Okay, so West Dixie and 131st, can you put your pointer on there? Oh, there we go. Okay, so, but you can't do Google Earth. Thank you.
No problem. If it continues thinking too hard, in the background, is there, maybe I can do the layers.
Let's discuss it. So what do you want to be first when you make a right of it? It's right in the entrance where 2,000 high school students come out and they go in the morning and go out in the evening. And they're all over that intersection in front of the chamber, all over that. Oh, here we go. Can you go in a little bit more? Zoom a little bit more. There you go. Okay. So I'm gonna go. So it's right here is the chamber. Dixie Highway 131st.
Mhm.
All the students are all over here. There's no light or anything going on 8th.
Mhm.
The stop sign here. There's wrecks here all the time. People park along there, and there's wrecks here all the time. People go the wrong way down this berm all the time. So what we're saying is right after this crosswalk, this has to be. This isn't a question. It has to be closed right here and right there. People can still go out the alley and exit that way. People can still go down Dixie Highway that way, but they can't cut through here. Also, when they cut through here, stop sign, if they cut through to 6th, this is like a half little, like weird street that has a berm and there's houses along there. So this, from this being closed right here, people aren't going to make a right and be able to haul butt through and hit kids.
Just a quick recap for virtual. So we're discussing the duration between 131st Street from Northeast 8th Avenue to West Dixie Highway, and concerns about school let out and folks traveling through that and cutting through traffic and speeding. So that's the recap. I think then what we can do is, it sounds like this would require further discussions with the city, because I don't think those are DOT maintained roadways. So we would have to have those discussions with North Miami.
And I'll tell everyone, I already have the mayor's approval.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Get that on record. Can you back out? I want to show you the street behind. So now you got, and you can go more. So now you got, this is 132nd cutting through. That's the North Miami Library. People are going to be cutting through there, turning on 8th and hauling butt in front of the high school. Again, like some people mentioned, having the bumps for them to slow down. Also back here, this one too. This street and this street, this is all residents. You guys are causing people to cut through and they're not going to go the speed limit. They're not going to pay attention to the speed limit.
Okay, so then the recap on 133rd, 132nd, 131st.
And behind it, another one, 133rd.
The concern of cut through traffic diverting from West Dixie through the neighborhood roads. So what, again, so I think that would need to be further discussion with City of North Miami, as those streets are the local roads.
Okay. So if we close 131st, it's okay with you guys?
It's not okay.
Oh, she nodded yes.
It's not okay. It's not okay for me to make those decisions. So
Okay.
I couldn't tell you, but that's definitely a discussion that we would have to continue with the city. Thank you, sir. Do we have any additional questions that have come in? No questions from the chat. So what I will do is I'm going to put the presentation back up on screen. I'm going to make my contact information slide will be on screen as well. that we can refer to at the presentation at any point. Again, for folks in the room as well as virtually, you may view the presentation. It's already been posted online. The fact sheet also includes this information. On the fact sheet at the bottom includes my contact information as well as contact information for Carlos. So please, at any point throughout the construction, we want to be good neighbors. We want to be able to work with you and answer those questions. Please reach out to us. For the folks who have participated and who have signed on to the meeting, you will be added to the project's database to receive the weekly email updates. Once construction starts, those will begin. I typically send them early Friday, try to get them before noon out the door so that you have an opportunity to see what to expect in the look ahead, the week ahead. So we thank you. I'm going to end up muting the mic and I'll probably turn my camera off, but we'll still be here. So for folks in the room, if you have any questions, we can, bring it back for everyone to listen to. And for our virtual participants as well, please use the chat function and we can answer those questions. So I'll come back on before we officially sign off the meeting. So we're not signing off just yet, but you're more than welcome to. And if I don't see you later, thank you so much for your participation and we really appreciate your feedback. So I'm going to be muting and turning the camera off, but we're still here.